So I saw Spider-Man No Way Home in a packed theater last night and something really strange happened. I had a great time.
What the fuck?
When I first heard of this movie, I thought I was going to hate it, just for the simple fact that it seemed to be yet another movie feeding off of nostalgia in a bad way. The movie that wants to make you remember things you liked as a child without having any kind of substance or barely even a story. I'm glad No Way Home was not that movie. In many ways it felt necessary, and I want to talk about that for a moment before getting to the main topic. Now, I cannot talk about what I want to talk about without spoilers, so if you haven't seen Spider-Man No Way Home, you might want to click away now. Go watch it first, then come back if you're interested. Anyway, if you have watched the movie, then you know both Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man are in No Way Home. And when I say this story felt necessary, it's for two main reasons. The first one being Andrew's Spider-Man. Out of the three, he's really the one who got screwed up big time by Sony, and he never got any true conclusion to his Amazing Spider-Man story. His franchise kind of ended in a cliffhanger, and No Way Home gives the fans of those movies some form of closure while using his experience as Spider-Man to develop the current Spider-Man, which I thought was brilliant. The second reason, of course, being Tom Holland's Spider-Man. This character has been mentored by Tony Stark, Happy, Fury, and to an extent, Doctor Strange. He is everyone's little brother in the MCU. But none of his mentors really understand what it means to be Spider-Man. The final stage of growth for him was to meet and interact with other heroes who have gone through or are going through what he has faced or will face in the future. This experience will change him for the better and will make him a better Spider-Man. The final scene when Tobey's Spider-Man stops him from killing the Green Goblin without ever saying a word to him was so powerful and a good payoff to a good setup. The setup being Tobey's Spider-Man telling him about the time he tried to get revenge on Uncle Ben's killer thinking it will make things better, but it never did. Instead, it brought more pain and regrets. A perfect lesson from one experienced Spidey to one that's just getting started. That is why I loved Andrew and Tobey in this movie. Not because of fan service, not because I missed seeing Tobey on screen as Spider-Man, but because their presence was not meaningless. They meant something. They contributed to turning MCU Spider-Man to the hero he was always meant to be. Spider-Man No Way Home was not just a good superhero movie, it was a great Spider-Man story. And that is the main point for this video. I enjoyed Homecoming and Far From Home to an extent, but I never really felt invested in any of those stories. I could never take them seriously because they never took themselves seriously. To me, these previous two movies felt a lot like movies made for Disney Channel, especially Far From Home.
No, don't.
Sorry? I thought this was the bathroom.
This is not what it looks like. Just.
I'll leave you two alone.
Don't shoot anybody.
Spider-Man No Way Home is the first time I looked at Tom Holland and saw Spider-Man. He was his own hero, making his own decisions that led to consequences that he had to deal with. My favorite scene in the entire movie is not him swinging with the other Spider-Man, although that was pretty cool, I won't lie. It was him trying to get MJ to remember him at the end until he saw a scar on her forehead, reminding him that he almost lost her, that it was too dangerous for her to know him. So he left, leaving his friend and lover behind to protect them, as he understands that their safety is more important than his own desire of being with them. That's Spider-Man. That was the first time the MCU Spider-Man did do something because he wanted to impress someone he looked up to, or because he wanted to be an Avenger, or because Nick Fury told him to. This is a movie where Spider-Man went against Doctor Strange and fought for what he believed was the right thing to do. I know a lot of people will say it was always meant to go this way, that the character was always meant to grow into a more mature Spider-Man. But it shouldn't take 3 movies for me to finally feel like things matter. It shouldn't take this long for Hot Aunt May to matter, for MJ to feel like a real character, for me to care about Peter Parker and the people he cares about. Obviously, just like any other movie ever, No Way Home is not perfect. There are a few things that made me raise my eyebrows, like Ned opening portals out of nowhere even though it took Doctor Strange half a movie to master that ability. It felt a bit too forced and convenient. The action was mostly great, especially the fight between Peter and Doctor Strange, but during the third act, a lot of the fight felt a bit shaky and not as thrilling as I hoped. Venom in the MCU still makes no goddamn sense, and I wish they stopped trying to force him in. The first act is probably the weakest part of the movie. It's slow, it's sluggish, and the comedy does not land at all. And that's the other thing, this movie is not as funny as it thinks it is. And that kind of took me out a few times, but the second half of the movie is good enough to make me forget about the stuff I didn't enjoy that much. This movie had a lot of heavy lifting to do, and John Watts and everyone at Marvel finally succeeded at making me care about this new version of the character. I love the ending, and for once, I'm incredibly excited about what they do next with this Spider-Man. I'm going to give Spider-Man No Way Home a 7 out of 10.